Can I come in?
When
That's what it is. It sounds like the beginning of an intro. Usually you need to like kill off like about 1,000 words.
We do only have 4 hours
All right.
of space though.
When life is difficult, one of the best things that we can do is turn to the Bible. And while there are a lot of different passages that you can turn to, one of the ones that I want to talk about today is Jeremiah 29:11, which says, "For I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope and a future." And if you look at that Bible verse, you may wonder at first, why does my life not look like I'm prospering? Or why does my life still have difficulty if it says here that I'm going to prosper and I'm not going to have any harm and God's going to give me hope in the future? I think this passage is worth explaining a bit more in detail, which is what I want to do today, because I think when we really understand it, it can be super encouraging for us. So this passage is written by a guy named Jeremiah, who is writing to the people of God who are in this place called Babylon. And they're not from Babylon, they're originally from Israel, but they've been taken from their homeland and taken to Babylon, where they're in exile and captivity. And this is not the place that they want to be. They would much rather be home. They would much rather be in a place that is comfortable and safe. But instead they're in this place that is filled with suffering and difficulty. And when they are struggling and when they're trying to understand why they're in this place, they're probably turning to God and saying, "Why are you allowing this to happen? Why are we here? Why are we in this place of difficulty?" And they're hoping that God is going to come in and pick them up and take them back home to a place that is comfortable and safe. And God speaks to them through the prophet Jeremiah, and he says in Jeremiah 29, verse 4-7, "Build houses and settle down, plant gardens and eat what they produce. Marry, have sons and daughters, find wives for your sons and give your daughters in marriage, so that they too may have sons and daughters. Increase in number there, do not decrease. Seek the peace and prosperity of the city to which I have carried you into exile. Pray to the Lord for it, because if it prospers, then you too will prosper." So the people are hoping that God is just going to come and pick them up and take them out of this place immediately. And God says, actually, you're going to be in this place for a while. And I want you to settle there, and I want you to stay here. And that's not at all what God's people wanted to hear. They were hoping that they would just get to leave this difficult place. And so then we get to Jeremiah 29:11, where God says, "For I know the plans I have for you, plans to prosper you and not to harm you, plans to give you a hope in the future." And so the Israelites are disappointed that they're going to have to stay there in this difficulty. But God says, "Don't worry, because I have plans for you, and I know what they are." And we as humans really love to know the plans of the world. We love to know things. If we don't know stuff, we immediately pick up our phones and we Google the answer. And so it's really difficult when we hear that there's sometimes going to be stuff that we won't know all the details of. But we can trust God, who is the one who knows the plans and has these plans. And furthermore, we can trust that these plans are good because God is good. One passage that I want to turn to is Romans 8, verse 28-29, where it says that God is able to use all things for good, and that the good is making us more like Jesus. So we can trust that God is good and he wants to use things to grow us and make us more like Jesus, and that we will learn to trust him more, that we'll learn more about how we're loved and cared for by God. And that's the sort of thing that can give us comfort and hope as we go through difficult circumstances, because we can trust that God is using those things to make us more like Jesus. And so even though like the Israelites, we might not be able to leave difficult circumstances as soon as we want to. We can trust that God is able to use those circumstances. And so as we go through those things, we can think through and wonder, how might God be using this to make me more like Jesus? And the second passage that I want to turn to is Revelation 21, verse 4, which says that God will wipe away every tear from our eyes, and that death will be no more. Neither shall there be mourning or crying or pain, for the former things will have passed away. And so here we have this beautiful, beautiful encouragement that one day things will be made right. And we can continue to hope that God is going to use things to grow us, but we can also hope that one day there will be no more pain, there will be no more suffering in the world. And we can continue to cling to that and hope in that, because that is the future and it's been decided. And so as we follow Jesus, we know the outcome and we can have hope in that. And so I hope that this encourages you. I hope that you can cling to things like Jeremiah 29 or Romans 8 or Revelation, because you know that God is good and that He cares for you. And the plans that He has, they might not always make sense, but they will grow you, and that one day God will make all things right.
Peace out.